Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a new topic, that is Amsler's charts. What are Amsler's charts? Amsler's chart comprises of 7 charts, each with a slightly different pattern and purpose. All charts are in shape of squares covering an area of 100 cm square, that is 10 cm by 10 cm. When they are held at 30 cm, that is 12 inches from the eye, they allow assessment of the central 20 degrees of the visual field, correlating with the area inside the temporal vascular arcades, that is the area around the fovea, excluding the optic disc region. Here you can see the different types of Amsler's chart tests. Let's look at chart 1. The most familiar and widely used is the standard black and white Amsler's grid. This is merely a grid pattern consisting of 0.5 centimeters white or black squares, each corresponding to 1 degree of visual field area that is set against a black or a white background respectively. They are arranged in 20 horizontal or vertical rows of 20 squares each. This grid helps clinicians to identify various forms of distortion as well as relative and absolute scotomas. Here you can see the white Amsler's grid with black lines on it and a black Amsler's grid with the white lines on it. Chart 2. This chart is similar to chart 1, with the only difference being the diagonal lines that intersect at the center of the grid to form an X. A patient with central visual loss may respond well to this chart as compared to chart 1, as this chart gives the patient a better idea of where the fixation point is located. A larger white central spot may be applied with a tape to the center of the grid if the patient is unable to achieve or maintain central fixation. Here you can see both the types of Amsler's chart with the diagonal lines that intersect at the center and form an X. Chart 3. This chart is similar to chart 1, with the only difference being the chart consisting of red squares instead of white ones on a black background. The patient who are suspected of malingering, that is pretending to have a visual problem, having central or paracentral visual loss due to amblyopia, alcohol-related B1 deficiency, maculopathy due to over-intake of quinine should be tested with this chart. It is used along with red and green glasses. Here you can see the Amsler's chart having a black background with the red lines imprinted on it. Chart 4. This chart has no lines to distort. Instead, it is filled with small white dots randomly distributed over a black background like stars in the sky. The patient with one or more areas of paracentral visual field loss may be able to recognize and record the boundaries of areas of field loss, that is, the areas of involvement, more specifically and easily with this chart. Here you can see the Amsler's chart having a black background with the small white dots randomly distributed over it. Chart 5. This chart consists of 20 evenly spaced white horizontal lines on black background. This chart can be rotated in any other meridian at any particular axis to check for irregularities in a particular area suspected of having a visual field loss. A patient experiencing central or paracentral distortions in the visual field, commonly referred to as metamorphopsia, may be especially sensitive to this type of an Amsler's chart. Here you can see the Amsler's chart having a black background with evenly spaced white horizontal lines printed on it. Chart 6. The chart 6 varies slightly from chart 5 as it contains black lines against a white background. The areas 1 degree above and below the central fixation dot are bisected by additional horizontal lines. Metamorphopsia, that is, distortions in the visual field along the reading level, may be more easily observed with this chart. Here you can see the Amsler's grid with a white background and black lines imprinted on it. The areas 1 degree above and below the central fixation dot are bisected by additional horizontal lines. Chart 7. This chart is similar to chart 1, with the difference being the white lines on black background and vice versa that divide the horizontally oriented 6 degrees by 8 degrees central area of the chart. This is the area that corresponds to the macular region into 0.5 degree squares further as compared to 1 degree squares present in the rest of the chart. This division of the central area makes the chart more sensitive detector of any finer or smaller macular compromises that might cause a visual field distortion. Subtle disturbances from the macular region of the retina can be detected using this chart. Here you can see the Amsler's chart with white lines on black background that divide the horizontally oriented 6 degrees by 8 degrees central area of the chart into 0.5 degree squares. Let's look at the modified Amsler's chart. Yannuzzi's card. Being a minified version of the Amsler's chart, it is composed of an area of 16 cm by 10 cm consisting of 0.5 cm squares that correspond to 16 degrees by 10 degrees area of the visual field when held at a distance of 30 cm from the eye. This card can be held horizontally or vertically to cover a larger overall area of the visual field. This card is of the size of a credit card and is popular for its convenience, portability, and relatively high sensitivity to visual disturbance corresponding to that in the macular region. Here you can see the Yannuzzi's card of the area of 16 cm by 10 cm consisting of 0.5 cm squares that correspond to 16 degrees by 10 degrees area of the visual field when held at 30 cm from the eye. Another example of modified Amsler's chart is the diamond chart. This chart is similar to Amsler's chart 5 and 6, containing evenly spaced, bold, horizontal black lines on white background. This chart contains a central red 0.5 cm fixation dot and a red diamond situated 10 cm to one side of the dot. The red dot is intended to hold the attention of the patient, and the red diamond is used to ensure central fixation and monocular viewing at 40 cm distance from the eye. The chart can be rotated 180 degrees from its original position to test the fellow eye when one eye is done testing with this chart. This chart was developed to obtain more consistent and reliable responses in patients with age-related macular degeneration. Here you can see the Amsler's chart having the evenly spaced, bold, horizontal black lines on a white background. Clinical use and importance. The Amsler's charts have attained an important benchmark in contemporary clinical practice because of their ease of administration and accessibility. They have greatly enhanced the clinician's ability to evaluate the extent of functional damage caused by various diseases involving the different parts of the eyes such as retina, choroid, optic nerve, orbit, anterior visual system, visual pathway, and cortex. Stay tuned with Smart Optometry for more educational videos and updates.